Back with another video. Wanted to talk today about some of the connections that I've been finding in the book and how I think that they lead to the hints, to sort of solving the clues in the puzzles. I'm going to be looking at New York today, and I want to show you how I think that he has hidden the answer to where the onion domes are. So we're here on the page 15 where they're talking about the Russian immigration, and we get the fair folks listed: the Vasily, the Polviki, the Domive, the Vili, the Leshi, and the Rusalki. So what's interesting is if you start looking up these fairies, like here's the Polviki, there's a real Slavic fairy in mythology that it's based on. That's the Polvik. And so as you start to go through some of these, you know, the next one then, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that, but we'll put it in there. You'll see that that's based on the Domovoi. And so each of these fairies is very similar to a real mythological fairy from sort of the Slavic region. So here's the Vili. It's based on the Villa. So just, you know, a couple letters off here or there. The Leshi is actually the same. That's like a real fairy. And then the last one, the Rusyalki, I'm not even sure how to say that either. Is the Rusalka. And so everything's really close. Well, what's really interesting is, I mean, those are all real mythological fairies in Slavic folklore. What's interesting is when you look up Vasily, the first one, okay, you have this Vasilisa. It's not really a good connection with it at all. But if you keep going down the list, a thing that pops up is Vasily and the Dragon. And this is an epic Russian fairy tale. And so once again, you're just like one letter off. But in all the other cases, it was a real fairy from their mythology, where in this case, it's a fairy tale. So it's a story about a boy named Vasily and the dragon. And so what's really interesting about this is, you can see some good artwork there, is, you know, you have to buy this book. You would have to have done some research at the library to find this. But if we actually look that up, there is a really good book review that gives a description of it. And so here's this lady that did a book review on this, and that it's basically talking about St. Nicholas and how St. Nicholas is the Orthodox Church's most beloved saint. You know, they celebrate him, and that this story, Vasily and the Dragon, is essentially a story about St. Nicholas. And you can kind of go through and read about what the story's all about, but essentially St. Nicholas was supposed to come and visit this guy's house. And so it's a story about him. And so what's really interesting about this now, to make the connection on this page, you have all these fairies that are listed as part of the Russian immigration. And all the fairies are based on real life fairies, except for one, Vasily. And that one's a fairy tale. And in it, it has St. Nicholas, one of the patron saints of the Russian Orthodox Cathedral. And right down here, you have a dragon on the prow of the ship. And right behind it, you have, in the distance, an onion dome. And so I think this is a clear-cut connection between this one thing in the text that's a little bit off, that leads you to looking at this particular story, so that you can figure out that the onion dome that's in the New York image is the St. Nicholas Russian Orthodox Cathedral in New York City. Let me know what you think in the comments.